We can all probably remember a time in our lives when we had to realize and accept that this is not real life. There's no Gandalf summoning eagles to come to their aid. There's no firebending. There's no force. No secret universes hidden in wardrobes or behind brick walls. I mean, we all wanted to believe in magic when we were younger, only to have our naive hopes and wishes slowly evaporate in front of our eyes as we were left to defend ourselves against a vile, cruel, and ruthless enemy. Adulthood. So I grow up and I'm just like, this is it? Like where's the magic? Like, there's gotta be more than this. It took me a while before I was able to see and, more importantly, appreciate the magic in the natural world. You know, the magic in finding family in strangers. Magic in the fact that society has existed for this long and hasn't completely destroyed itself. The magic in all the minute forces working together to keep the universe stable. Or the magic in the fact that anything exists at all. I mean, existence itself is one of the most epic spells ever cast, but it's hard to maintain that grandiose perspective all the time. It usually requires me to be in like a good mood or like some kind of heightened state, you know, on a bunch of drugs, mostly the drugs, 90% drugs, actually. You know, it's kind of hard to maintain that perspective that the universe is magic when you're on a grimy train at 7 a.m. and a homeless man is screaming at you to get up so he can sit down. But you're standing, so that doesn't make any sense. But so you move out the way, because maybe he just wants to stand or sit where you're standing, and then he screams at you again to get up so he can sit down. But you're standing. So that doesn't make any sense. So it's kind of hard for me to view life in its most mundane states as magic. But there's always been one thing that has always maintained its essence of magic to me. Whether I'm on the train being harassed by senile people that our society is embarrassingly unequipped to deal with, or whether I'm in the middle of a 3-hour hunt for toilet paper. Even though you called the supermarket and you asked them if they had it and they said they're fully stocked, and then you get there 5 minutes later and it magically disappears. Now you want to call security on me when I put a few bags of Skittles in my pocket for compensation. So no matter what I'm going through or how stale life may seem at times, this one thing always blows my mind. This one thing where if there's any magic in the universe, it's this. Consciousness was created in 1346 BC when Luther von Larsberg accidentally spilled a vat of milk. We don't know shit about consciousness. Nothing. The very thing that allows for me to have these thoughts and make this video, the very thing that allows for you to view this video, the very thing that gives rise to experience so that a bunch of evolved apes could look at the universe and try to make sense of it. We've come so far and developed the technology to go from fearing tigers and hunting for our own food to buying chicken at the supermarket and frying it in the comfort of our own homes while we stream shows about assholes that own tigers. We can talk to people from the other side of the planet with devices that weigh less than a can of orange soda. The greatest minds on our planet have developed the technology to be able to detect ripples in space-time that are 1,000 times smaller than the nucleus of an atom from 1.3 billion light years away. Do you know how far that is? Can you imagine how many French fries you could fit in that space? Hey, what's going on? I gotta tell you, man, thank God you guys are open, because this is a little bit of an emergency I got going on over here. Can I get an order of French fries and chicken wings? Yep. Extra crispy on the fries, you already know. And let me get an orange soda with that. Yeah. You know what? Throw grape soda in there too. Fuck it, we doing both stereotypes today. So I'm just saying, we've come all this way because of our exponentially growing understanding of the universe. Yet we have nothing to help explain the thing that's doing the understanding. That makes sense, right? Nothing to explain how the supposedly lifeless matter of the universe organized itself in such a way as to give rise to creatures that could have experiences. Of course, you can say that consciousness only seems so magical because we don't understand it. Which is true. I mean, that makes sense, you know? I mean, I feel like the mainstream scientific view of consciousness is that it's simply just the result of really complex computation. Like if you have any organism or machine that's capable of doing really complex levels of computation, then consciousness will naturally manifest. And maybe so, but it's not really the bolts and gears of consciousness that blows my mind. It's not really the how that I'm interested in. It's more the why. There's this phenomenon called blindsight, and I'm most likely not going to explain this correctly, so you probably should just do your Googles. So it's basically this form of brain damage where a person's eyes gets disconnected from the part of our brains that give us the experience of seeing. So seeing is not as simple as visual information going in your eyes and your brain processing it. There's a bunch of different parts of your brain that process visual information, and only one of those parts of your brain actually give you the experience of seeing. The other parts of your brain that process visual information are almost like unconscious parts of your brain. You don't experience those sides. So every now and then someone gets a form of brain damage where their eyes get disconnected from the part of their brain that gives them the experience of seeing. So they can't see anything. They are completely blind. But the other parts of their brain are still connected. So they're still getting information, but the person just can't see anything. Best analogy that I can think of to help describe this fucking crazy shit is imagine that you have a phone and you're recording something. You're making a video of something, I don't know, whatever. And then you drop your phone and then the screen cracks. So you can't see what you're recording, but the camera is still working and the phone can still record. So it's still recording information, you just can't see it. All right, hopefully I explained that decently enough. But anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because if you were to go up to people that have this problem, that have blindsight, and you were to show them pictures of someone's face and ask them whether that person's face was happy or sad, they would accurately be able to answer that question. If you were to go up to one of these people and like send them through an obstacle course, they will be able to navigate the obstacle course without bumping into anything. It's not like they can kind of see a little bit or like they feel like they have a sixth sense of where things are at. No, like as far as they're concerned, they are completely blind and they don't feel like they know what they're doing. To them, a lot of them say that they're just making random guesses, but somehow they're always correct. So what you have here are examples of people that are accurately reacting to things that they have no conscious experience of at all. I mean, they're completely blind and they're navigating through obstacle courses. That's crazy. So the traditional view of consciousness is that it's basically like a survival mechanism, right? Which makes sense, right? Like the more self-aware you are, the more intelligent you are, the better chance you're gonna have surviving in nature. But something like blindsight shows us that you don't really need conscious awareness in order to survive. You don't even need conscious awareness in order to behave in ways that seem conscious. In fact, we have plenty of examples of organisms that we generally don't consider to be conscious that have found some really complex, interesting ways to survive. Plants, bacteria. There's this form of slime mold, which is literally just like a single cell organism. It's just a cell, right? But this slime mold could actually solve mazes. And whenever they run out of food in whatever area that they're in, they'll actually sacrifice themselves by congregating together to form like a tall stalk, like basically like a ladder. And they form this ladder so that the very few of them at the top of the ladder could potentially be swept away by air, rain, or like somebody stepping on them and be taken potentially to another environment that has food, while the rest of them stay back and die. So these creatures without the complex technology of a brain are getting along just fine. While I, on the other hand, struggle not to watch porn. Like the act of not doing something. Simply doing less is an accomplishment for me. And what are you doing? Just sitting there in your underwears watching some crazy guy's video on the internet while there's bacteria out there solving puzzles and sacrificing themselves for their families and the greater good. The point is, you don't seem to need consciousness, self-awareness, or this vivid internal life that we all have to survive. In fact, it seems like you don't even need consciousness to make great works of art. Meet Lee Hadwell. Hadwin. God, I keep fucking this guy's name up. So Lee Hadwell is this guy who's had this sleepwalking disorder since he was a child. And when you are sleepwalking, you are neither awake nor aware. Like you are just completely gone. You're sleeping as far as you're concerned, but you're still doing things. Some people eat food, some people mow the lawn, some people scream really loud. It's really annoying. And Lee Hadwin would draw. And when he would wake up in the morning, he would find these beautiful drawings that he has absolutely no idea how he made them. And even weirder, in his waking life, he doesn't indulge in art at all. In fact, apparently he can't draw for shit when he's awake. He's actually a nurse. And let's just bookmark that for a second, because I just want to take a moment to appreciate the fact that this guy is more productive in his sleep than I am when I'm awake. But the point is, though, is that if all these amazing things are possible without self-awareness, without consciousness, like you don't need consciousness in order to survive. You don't need consciousness in order to solve puzzles or to behave in really complex, intelligent ways. If we don't need consciousness to do these things, then why is it here? Don't get me wrong. We may one day discover consciousness's evolutionary purpose, or we may just find out that it was simply a mistake. Some random mutation that popped up aeons ago and never went away. But in the meantime, lacking any clear purpose or explanation for it, it leaves room for the imagination. It leaves room to imagine that maybe its purpose is to do exactly what it's doing. Experience. Look, no matter how accomplished you may be or how much success you may find, we're all gonna die one day. And when that day comes, you can't take any of those accomplishments or any of your success with you. And no matter what your beliefs are, no matter what you believe, none of us can truly claim to know what happens after we die. But what we do know, what we do have, is this: our lives, our experiences. To me, that's all that matters. And from the looks of it, it seems that we didn't have to be here. I mean, I know I can easily imagine a universe just like this one without consciousness. And the stars and the atoms will continue to do their lonely dance without anyone there to ever see them. But instead, the universe happened to organize itself in such a way as to give rise to brains, which can then give rise to consciousness, which can then have experiences. I mean, I know we've heard this plenty of times before, but it doesn't make it any less poignant. The universe is quite literally experiencing itself. You don't have to hold any esoteric beliefs to understand that. And if you hold that view of things, it becomes a lot easier to entertain the idea that maybe consciousness is not just some accidental byproduct of evolution. Lifeless matter being the main event and consciousness just happened to stumble its way into the party. Maybe consciousness could be a fundamental element of the universe. And this is a big what if, but those are my favorites. What if consciousness is everywhere? When you're looking out into the world, you're just seeing it express itself to many different levels of complexity. From the most complex and self-aware forms, all the way down to something so simple that we, from our perspective, just can't imagine that it's conscious at all. But it could be conscious. It just is a very simple form. Even if its conscious experience is simply just presence, just being, just an id. From humans, to animals, to plants, to bacteria, to even a rock, everything. What if this is just one massive consciousness experiencing itself? The universe is more of an organism instead of a machine. And right, there's nothing original here at all. These ideas have been adopted by different religions and spiritual folk for thousands of years. And there's no way to ever intrinsically disprove or prove it in any meaningful way. But I think it's great food for thought. And when I view everything from this perspective, the universe as one infinite amusement park for consciousness to experience things, I begin to feel that maybe this is all worth it. Your silent misery and your insurmountable tower of regrets, your inability to ever truly be satisfied, and the momentary slices of happiness that cut through the storms of melancholy, the frustrations with the ones you love, and even more, with yourself, the fear of knowing what's ultimately in all of our futures, and what's been forever lost to the past. But when you finally reach the end to your tale, you probably won't want to exchange it for any other, because it was yours. You got an exclusive seat to a show that no one else will ever see. Your own classic film just for you. And what if that's what it's all about? What if this is the why, the purpose? To simply be. Take it all in and let it go as you fade out of existence. Life and death is the universe breathing in and breathing out. And experience is the oxygen. And to me, that's magic. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'm gonna let you go now. By the way, if you are interested and you got nothing else to do, you just want to play on Google, have a little bit Googling. There's a lot of spiritual ideologies out there that sell the concept of the universe being one massive consciousness. But there's a more secular theory called panpsychism. So, you know, if you got nothing to do, just type that into Google and enjoy that rabbit hole. All right. All right, I gotta go and do nothing. Shit, you know what? I almost forgot. For like 3 months now, my bookshelf has been completely out of alphabetical order. So I've been living like a savage in here. So I'm gonna get my life together, get my priorities straight, and go get that sorted out. And I guess I'll see you guys around. I'll see you around.